Welcome back, everyone. I am Psycho Emerald. Happy May the 4th. Today we have the third annual top 5 countdown ranking for my favorite Star Wars The Black Series figures. This year, I'm looking at all my picks. None of them were on the list last year because I didn't even own any of these last year. I've been getting so many great figures lately. Some of these are new releases. Some of them are just ones I never ended up picking up. But yeah, the list is completely different from last year, so I hope you guys are excited about that. First of all, I want to say thank you guys so much for getting me through 3 years of action figure reviews. I'm hoping to do a collection tour video, but I'm also doing a live stream with my brother, Sam the Theorist, on May 10th at 4:30 p.m. To celebrate the 5-year anniversary of the Psycho Emerald channel. I know 4:30 Pacific time is a little bit late, especially for you guys on the East Coast, so I don't expect to see a ton of people there, but if you want to watch it on the replay, that's totally fine too. We're just gonna have a good time chilling out, opening up a bunch of figures I've been saving for that live stream day. Going forward, if we do more live streams, we'll definitely do them on a weekend morning or early afternoon instead of doing it so late, but I wanted to do it on the channel anniversary day, so that's why it's going to be kind of a weird time to do it. So yeah, I just wanted to plug that real quick. Hope to see some of you guys there. That'll be really great. And yeah, I want to say happy May the 4th. My 3rd time doing this. It's crazy that the channel's gone on for 3 years and it's gone by so fast. So I just want to say thank you guys so much for all the support. Everything is just goes to motivating me to make more of this content. I really, really enjoy it, but it means a lot more that you guys come back to support it. So I really do appreciate that. So I hope you guys are excited for this top 5 ranking, because I really am. I've got 5 different figures that were never on the list before. Let's get into number 5. All right, and my pick for the 5th best Star Wars The Black Series figure is Darth Maul from the Clone Wars. Now, this figure, I originally saw it, thought I didn't like the head sculpt, but as soon as I saw people doing reviews of it, I knew I had to have it, and I'm so glad I got it. This thing is incredible. If you just look at the sculpt, if you look at that head sculpt there with that awesome grimace on it, you look at that lightsaber. Oh man, the sculpt and the paint and the articulation is incredible as well. You can do so many great poses with this guy. The body proportions are fantastic. The paint apps are amazing. The soft vinyl overlay is always super, super nice. And if you look at that head sculpt, it is just amazing. The way they've got it, the teeth there and the eyes, all the tattoos and everything. Just an amazing sculpt all the way through. And yeah, the articulation is some of the best we've seen in the Black Series as well. So I had to make it to number 5, and this should be telling of how much I like all the other figures on the list if this guy was in 5th place. And we're just getting started, and this is already such an amazing figure. So let's move on to number 4. All right, so my number 4 might be slightly unexpected. It's not a figure I see get like a ton of love, but I really love it, and I think it deserves more love because I think it's really great. And that one would be Anakin Skywalker from the Clone Wars. Now, I've always loved this look for Anakin, and they just absolutely nailed it here. I think the head sculpt is great. It's not 100% Hayden likeness, but it's kind of a mix of the animated likeness and the Hayden Christensen likeness. I think all the paint apps are really great. There aren't too many, but there are a few. I think the articulation is really great as well. The legs on the Anakin body, they are from the old one, but I mean, the articulation on them has always been really good. So they didn't really need to change it, in my opinion. So yeah, they pretty much improved everything they needed to improve, gave us the best possible Anakin Skywalker figure. I think the vinyl mixed with the soft goods is just a really great combo, makes it feel very high quality. And I did have to pay a pretty penny for this guy. It was around $50 because these Clone Wars Target exclusive figures really hard to try and get now. Since it was so long ago, and I've heard they were even really hard to get back when they came out. But yeah, this is one of my favorites. Definitely don't sleep on this one. Go pick it up. I'm sure whenever I get the Obi-Wan Kenobi one, that one will probably end up on this list next year. But yeah, I don't have Obi-Wan yet, but this Anakin is amazing. So if the Obi-Wan's better than this, then yeah, it's going to definitely be on this list. So yeah, I really love this Anakin. It also helps that Anakin is my favorite character, so having a great Anakin figure is just super satisfying. This is my 4th place figure, so let's move on to number 3. All right, now my 3rd place is one that I've got pretty recently, and I pretty much always knew this was going to be one of my favorites. I didn't quite know it would make it on the list, but this was on my top 5 most exciting figure releases for 2023, and yeah, it definitely didn't disappoint, and that will be Luke Skywalker from The Mandalorian. Now, I just use this as my Return of the Jedi Luke. I do love The Mandalorian, but I really just needed a solid Return of the Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker figure for my shelf, and this totally cuts it. They got the outfit right. Apparently this is, I learned from, I think it was a Whoosh video, this is most accurate to the scene in the Ewok village with Princess Leia where he's talking to her, which it's fine by me. To me, it just looks like a great Return of the Jedi Luke. I think it would work for Jabba's palace. I think it would work for, yeah, Endor. I'm really excited for the new one that utilizes a lot of the same body sculpt as this, that they're doing for the final dual version. I did make sure to get a pre-order on that one, and I can't wait for that to come out for the 40th anniversary. It's going to be on a card back similar to this, which is really cool. But yeah, I love the head sculpt on this. I still think Yavin Ceremony is the best Luke Skywalker likeness, but this is probably a second place. The paint apps are all real clean right here. The lightsaber itself is super well painted. It's super accurate, and I love that. The blade color is a very nice, vibrant green. And yeah, I've always loved Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker, and I'm just so glad to have such an amazing collectible figure of it to own. And yeah, the articulation is great as well. He has butterfly joints in here, so you can do really cool stuff with the figure with some posing. I've done some fun photography with him in a Dark Trooper. I'm going to need to do some with Boba Fett sometime as well, have him cutting Boba Fett's blaster in half. That could be really, really fun. But yeah, great articulation, amazing figure, amazing character, super iconic. Gotta love it. That's my number 3. So let's move on to number 2. All right, now number 2 is a figure I was excited about for a very long time. It came out, I think, either right after I started collecting or right before. But anyway, it's always been on my radar as a figure I really wanted. I just never ended up getting it. And I didn't know it would be this high on the list. Number 2 is going to be Count Dooku from the prequel trilogy, or Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith. This figure is so good. Like, I didn't know I would love it as much. Usually soft goods kind of gets on my nerves. I do like the way it looks, and it doesn't hinder articulation as much as a vinyl cape would, of course, but it always kind of gets on my nerves when soft goods stuff, or fabric, as I usually try to call it, kind of gets in the way of posing and stuff. Obviously, it's better than a vinyl cape. A lot of times on other figures like Tython Boba, for example, or Mace Windu, it really gets in the way of the posing because it kind of gets jammed in the joints and stuff, but they totally nailed it with this cape, where it's just so easy to have it fold behind him like that with the 2 different layers. You've got the lighter brown and the darker brown, just like in the movies. You've got amazing articulation to where you can have him in all the different Count Dooku poses you'll want. The lightsaber is super accurate as well. The Christopher Lee likeness, I always want to call him Christopher Lloyd, but that's a different guy, also really great actor. But yeah, the outfit, I feel like maybe could be a little darker, but that's literally my only complaint, and it really doesn't bother me that much. Great articulation, amazing look to the figure. It just really captures the spirit of Count Dooku to me. And, you know, I'm a big prequel guy. Count Dooku is one of my favorite characters as well. So, yeah, this figure is just a super fun one to pose and super fun to display on the shelf. So, yeah, this is going to be my number 2. And before we move on to number 1, I would like to give a shout out to a couple of honorable mentions, figures that I didn't have on the list, but that I want to give a little bit of credit to in the video. So, yeah, let's move on to honorable mentions. All right, so here are all my honorable mentions. Return of the Jedi, Boba Fett. Great figure. Just over time, certain things about it have kind of started to bother me. So it has this slightly wonky helmet shape, which I was able to kind of fix a little bit. The lack of paint is also kind of noticeable. The legs seem a little bit out of proportion, but yeah, these are all like super tiny nitpicks, but they've just kind of started to bother me a little bit more. So that's why he didn't end up on the list, unfortunately, which I was surprised that I didn't end up wanting to put him on the list. But yeah, he didn't quite make it this time, but still a great figure. These two, Captain Rex and Commander Bly, they utilize the same body, so I thought I'd include both. Incredible articulation, incredible figures, super great clone troopers. So I thought I'd include both of those on the honorable mention. And this was my first place, which is Han Solo from Return of the Jedi. Great figure, perfect Han Solo in my opinion, but not quite enough to make it on the list. I still love all 4 of these. Wanted to give him a little bit of a shout out and a mention in the video, but not quite into the top 5. But without further ado, let's move on to the gold medal. My favorite Black Series figure, and the figure I honestly think is the best Black Series figure of all time, and it would be very difficult for them to ever top in the future, and that will be the Dark Trooper. This figure is so good. Like, I can't stress enough how good this thing is. Like, when I first saw the promo images of that, I was like, that's probably the best Black Series figure ever. Like, I knew as soon as I saw this thing that this was the best. And I kind of went back and forth for a little bit on putting this at number 1, but I just had to. This thing is so good. They got the glossy finish of it pretty much perfect. They got the striking red eyes down there. A little hard to see on camera, but they are amazing. All the silver paint apps just make it look mechanical and real and accurate. It looks just pretty much exactly. It just looks like you took the Dark Troopers out of the movie and just handed one to me right now. Like, this thing is so amazing. joints, all the joints are integrated perfectly to where like that's where the joints actually are on an actual Dark Trooper, on an actual droid. And the articulation, as you can see, is just amazing. Like, it's so smooth. It's so much fun to pose it. I could just sit around posing this dang thing for hours because it's just so smooth. It's so posable, and it's just so much fun to play with. And it's so visually accurate as well to the series. And I don't see people like putting this on their top 10 lists, like hardly ever, or ever really pointing this out as being the best Black Series. But I think it's hard for anything to top this. I think it's like, it's not even really that close. Like, Count Dooku is great, but like, he's like a couple steps below this as far as accuracy and articulation and stuff like that. This is just the perfectly detailed, accurate sculpt of the Dark Trooper, perfectly painted as well, and the articulation is everything and more that you would ever need from an action figure. And yeah, you can just do so much. If you don't have this figure yet, you are missing out. You definitely need to go pick it up because yeah, it's so well articulated. It's so well sculpted, so well painted. It's just the perfect Black Series figure, in my opinion. Yeah, that's got to be my number one. I don't think it's even really that close. So yeah, that's going to be my number one. So let's get all of them out here and we'll close out the video. All right, so that's going to be it for my May the 4th ranking this year. Yeah, none of these figures were even in my collection last year, which is just crazy to think about. But yeah, it's super fun to do one of these rankings and not have it be half the same figures as the year before. So hopefully next year it'll be completely different. It's going to be really hard to top this guy especially, and really all of these are amazing. So it's going to be hard. It's hard for me to imagine anything beating these, but yeah, I mean, I hope that they do, because I'm not saying I hope that I like these figures less. I'm just saying I hope that they make figures, or that I receive more figures that I like a lot more than I ever thought I could. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like. If you're new to my channel and you haven't yet subscribed, please consider doing so. If you like videos on Star Wars The Black Series and just toy collecting and action figure collecting in general, because that's what my channel is about, so maybe consider checking out a few videos, and if you're into it, maybe click that subscribe button. Also, if you're interested in just seeing me and my brother hang out and chill and open some action figures and talk about nerdy stuff, we're going to be doing that 4:30 Pacific time, 7:30 Eastern, on Wednesday, May 10th. So mark your calendars if that's something you're interested in stopping by for. So yeah, I hope you guys found this video enjoyable. May the 4th be with you, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.